Okay, so I don't have any guns here to show you other than the Cucks Raider, but I have my camera on anyway because why the fuck not? I think this will probably get more views, and I want this philosophy to get more views. So, what is a squad? Like, that's probably where we should start, sadly. A squad is a unit of riflemen. Okay, typically it's 8 to 12 men. Uh, could be less, could be more. It's whatever you want to make it. In the U.S. military, historically speaking, a squad of riflemen is 8 to 12 men. A platoon is 3 to 4 squads. A company is 3 to 4 platoons. And then past that, it really depends on what you like, specifically what we're talking about, because like the Army will do regiments, and then like the Marine Corps, I think, does battalions. And I'm actually not sure above that where it goes. I find the small unit stuff to be useful to know from the aspect of we might be fighting the American government. That's flat out everything that I ever learned about the US military was to conduct warfare against it. And or with it, should they be on the side of good, but it seems like they aren't going to be on the side of good, honey. So, you know, whatever. You should know their table of organization to some degree, especially in small unit tactics, because it's going to dictate how you fight them. And in some aspects, what they do is good, so why not copy it? So, assuming that your squads are going to be set up similarly, how will you arm them? This is the topic of this video. So, you are pulling from civilian weapons at best. Maybe you do have some machine guns. I don't know, but like, let's assume that you are building your compound with your buddies or whatever out in the woods. This is who I'm talking to. I want everyone to be good and fucking entrenched with all of their guns and all of their ammo and all of their fucking tigers and all of their marijuana and anything else you want to fucking have. Fuck the government. That's where I'm at with it. Fly a black flag with your tiger pot farm or whatever. I don't give a fuck. And have a machine gun. Machine guns are cool. Don't have a machine gun yet. Wait until they change the law. Don't break the law. It's like that's important, right? But point is, you're not going to have access to the table of weapons that the U.S. Army does. So what do you got? What do you have is useful? Well, the thing you do have in spades is rifles. So as such, the DMR role is going to be a bigger thing. We'll get into that. Flat out snipers are going to be a much bigger thing. That's because it's what you got. And it takes a lot of training to be a sniper. It does not take a lot of training to be a DMR in a World War II-esque, Stalingrad-esque, nightmare dystopian future city of America. Okay, flat out, you with a deer rifle could be Vasily Zaitsev or fucking, what's his name? The Finnish dude with the fucked up face. Zemo Haya? That's his name. Could be him. He got shot in the face, though. Don't be him. Be him before he got shot in the face. Ski away. Like, this would be what I would encourage you to mimic, right? Like, not that you're going to conduct open warfare or whatever, but you need to defend yourselves. How best to defend yourself? Is it to sit in your fucking hole and wait to be taken? It's never the best option to sit where you are and wait for them. That's what I like to do because I like the challenge of it. Like, dig your hole, prepare to die. Like, I don't give a fuck. That's where I'm at with the fucking ATF, FBI, federal government, anyone else that fucking doesn't like what I have to say. You keep violating the fucking Constitution and you're gonna get a fucking uprising. And I hope it is 1776 writing again. I doubt it will be, but I don't even care anymore who it is. I'm for the change of the government. And It seems like they won't let us change the government at the ballot box. We'll see. We got a couple more elections probably, but this is why we're training. It's not a domestic terrorism. It's flat out, I think the Democrats are going to come try to fucking kill us. So I'm preparing to defend myself. As such, I would encourage you to do the same things with your buddies and to form squads. In these squads, um, other than DMRs, you're going to need regular riflemen. As handy of a thing as a DMR slash sniper is, regular riflemen are going to have to be the bulk of your element. And I would actually say a lot of people should probably even be packing, what are those called? SPRs, like a AR-15. Sorry. God damn. That was a hell of a weak cough. So, your marksman, I would actually have pack SPRs mostly. And the reason I say this is you are on foot or in light vehicles. So ammunition is going to be at, a premium. An SPR does a pretty good job at the DMR kind of role. For a dedicated sniper rifle, maybe a 308 or bigger. I would say bigger, to be honest. 338 Lapua would be nice. But as far as a marksman rifle, your assaulter element is probably going to be packing M4s or something equivalent to it. That's a given in the United States of America. I hope we can just move past that. So, as such, a DMR AR-15 build in 5.56 makes sense to me. However, 308 also makes sense. So it depends on what you're going to be doing. The next thing, though, is you don't have machine guns. This is a thing that you're going to have to address. So, what do you need? You need the ability to sustain a volume of fire for a prolonged period at a high rate. What am I describing to you? I put it to you that such guns do exist that are not machine guns. Pretty much any semi automatic rifle with a 50 round magazine that can be quickly exchanged can be pressed into service in this role. And the 308 caliber ones are very interesting. Okay. Even if you only have, 50 rounds of drum mag and, a handful of drum mags for like a G3, that makes a very, very interesting light machine gun replacement. I have an entire video on the light automatic rifle concept where I go through a G3 that I built out to be this. The other obvious option would be like a semi-automatic belt fed of some sort, but those are kind of finicky and goofy. So other than a G3 or FAL with drum mags, my other pitch to you would be a fucking AR-15 with drum mags. Again, for ammo compatibility within the squad. The saw has its place. I think a 20-inch barreled AR-15 with an ACOG and those Magpul D60s, that would be a saw replacement. Uh, as far as like an M240, M60 replacement, there's really nothing that could do that. That light automatic rifle thing with a G3 or a FAL, it's as close as you're going to get, probably. And this is why snipers are going to be a much bigger deal. Like a good bolt action Remington 700 is something that you can get easily. And that gun is as valuable as a light machine gun. A lot of people wouldn't believe that, but the ability to place one 308 in the exact right spot 5 times in quick succession stops entire elements moving, believe it or not. And this is something that one man could do. And That's a capability that's well worth having. Are you going to have your whole fucking element carrying that? No. So as far as a squad goes, you are going to need a couple of people with semi-automatic DMRs, whatever that means to you. 5.56 308. You're gonna need somebody packing a fucking bolt gun. And the reason I say that is you're gonna need someone to scout ahead and that kind of shit. And like, I wouldn't. I would either go one of two routes. I would either pack a 338 Lapua if I thought I could take the weight, or I would go super lightweight and get like a hunting rifle in like 30-06 or 308. That'll do most of what you need. You need one or two really accurate shots. You don't need a sustained volume of fire necessarily. Like, it really depends on what kind of sniper like you're gonna be, I guess. But what I think of when I say sniper is like in the World War II sense. Like, go watch the movie Saving Private Ryan or the movie Enemy at the Gates and look at the sniper combat shown in that in and around structures. That's kind of what I'm talking about when I say sniper. It's a very much a different thing than our Western idea of, hey, we're gonna have a ghillie suit on and we're gonna have this dope chart and this fucking scope that's basically a computer, and that's a whole different thing. It just is. It's not better or worse really, but that's not the kind of sniping that I would envision being that useful in the end of the world. Like, if you have someone that can do that, yes, pack the gear to do that. That's what I'm saying. If you don't, have a dude with a hunting rifle because it's almost as useful. And as far as the dude with the hunting rifle goes, um, I would have him packing something like this too, because like a hunting rifle is pretty light, and it's kind of a long range weapon, and like in structures and shit, it would be handy to have a person that wasn't carrying much except for a bolt action rifle and a box of ammo and this thing to go kind of squirreling through buildings. And chances are, whoever you have doing the fucking anti sniper role with a fucking hunting rifle, probably pretty twitchy. That's just that's who I would have doing it. Like, it'd be the fucking twitchiest motherfucker ever doing 80 pounds of meth a day. Like, that's who I would want as my fucking counter sniper. I know that doesn't make sense to a lot of people, but trust me, he'd be dedicated and uh, very observant. Very observant. Uh, so, like I said, at least a couple of semi-automatic DMRs per squad, and the reason we're heavy on that is because we don't have machine guns. And at least one of those people should probably be packing something like that hunting rifle. If you don't have someone, like I said, dedicated to that. That could even be like your squad leader or something like that. Like, that actually might be a good loadout. Like, get the fucking Red Dawn loadout of the fucking, bolt action 30-06 or whatever Jed was carrying, and like some sort of PDW. And the main reason that that would actually be a good thing for your squad leader to have too is your weapon as the squad leader having an optic on it that has 10x capability or more is about your ability to scout ahead and see ahead. You can carry binoculars and shit too, and those are useful. It's very useful just to be able to pull up a fucking gun and look. This is where having, if your guys have night vision, having lasers and shit on your gun to direct their fire is also a very good idea. Um, and that would be more like on an AR-15 probably than a hunting rifle. Although a hunting rifle set up as a shit hits the fan squad leader would be a badass concept. I have to do that now. Like, I don't know what gun I'll get for that. I think they make a Magpul stock for the Ruger American though. It would be badass to do a Jed Eckert fucking build. Jed Eckert in the 21st century or some shit. But for your assaulter dudes, I said M4s, some sort of equivalent to that. Red dots on an AR-15. You could have some flip to side magnifiers on some of them. All that shit's good. No reason to really change up anything from anything you guys are probably already doing, right? Uh, the thing I would try to avoid is having some dudes that have AKs and some dudes that have ARs and some dudes that have fucking Keltec sub 2000s and what, like, try to standardize your shit. Like, if you have leftover mix match weapons, give those to people that are like at home for self defense. Like, you're gonna have women and children and whatever hidden someplace, right? You arm them too, or may not all of them. You should probably arm some of them, because I know women and children. That's how you get your ass shot. I'm just coming back to check on you. Blam. The gunner or whatever with the fucking whatever your solution is for a semi-automatic light machine gun, it's gonna have to be like a three-man element. It's not gonna be one dude. It's entirely too much shit. Because what I would do is have two of those things and two gunners loaded up with mags, and then I would have a rear security dude for them. That was a dude with an M4 that didn't have as much regular rifle ammo as everybody else, but had a shit ton of D60s. Assuming that they're carrying 5.56, but he would have ammunition for whatever your guns are. If you have, 308s with drum mags, he's carrying 308 drum mags. He's carrying ammo for the weapon. Like, a lot of people don't get that, like, those AR-15s, those are like the squad's defense. Those are shit is attacking us and we need to get it off of us. When the squad attacks, the squad is going to use its shit like a fucking sniper rifle or a light machine gun to go on the offensive. And then shit like, squad leaders' weapons and fucking shit like M4s and whatever, that's all for, okay, we have gone into a structure like thing, and there's a good possibility that your commander could be in close combat with something at a moment's notice. And most military elements place quite a bit of preference on keeping the commander alive, because the fighting force becomes way, way less effective without a chain of command. And as such, squad leaders and commanders and shit like that tend to carry shit like in World War II, you'd see them carrying Thompsons and MP40s. Well, like in Vietnam, they'd carry CAR-15s while their men were carrying M16s. That kind of thing. They tend to carry smaller, shorter, handier weapons because they're not in as many fucking gunfights. And when they are in a gunfight, it's up close and personal, more than likely. That's at least their theory. And it's pretty much probably true. I would say this day and age, I would carry the same weapon as my rifleman, for the same reason that Dick Winters did in fucking Normandy. The Germans weren't stupid. They shot the fuckers with the Thompsons. Okay? Like, they learned that pretty quickly, and he started carrying an M1 Garand. For that same reason, whatever gun your dudes with M4s carry, I would make your squad leaders and you carry the same thing. And I would standardize it all, because you don't want people really knowing what's out there. Like, if you can even make it confusing as to which dudes are your DMRs and which dudes are your riflemen, that's to your benefit. Your sniper element is probably best used off on its own. I would have radios for him, and basically there's no radio that you can buy that's going to be a secure line of communication, so I would go real old school and learn some code language that no one else would fucking understand between you and your fucking scout sniper. if you're the company commander or platoon commander, I would have for my element a scout sniper team, and there would be a radio between us, and they would be probing before our fucking whole element went somewhere. Like, it's a handy thing to have a couple of guys out in front of your whole unit with a sniper rifle and a radio, you know, tripping ambushes. Basically, that's what they're doing. They're the bait, and they that is what it is, and they are usually good at it. Whoever's doing that, either they die rather quickly or they're really good at it. That's just how it is. Um, that's exactly how I would use that person. They're basically disposable, and I know that's horrible. You got to get over that. They exist to save the platoon. They exist to save the company. Like, that's what matters to you as a platoon or company commander, not the life of one fucking sniper. Just to be honest, and that's the thing that a lot of people don't understand about anything in life is it sucks being the boss. It really sucks being the boss. And everybody thinks that that's what they want. They want to be in charge or whatever. I don't want to be in charge of shit. I usually end up being in charge of shit because everyone else disappears. That's been my whole life, basically, in a nutshell. That's why I usually just tend to go do my own thing and make knives and shit. It's I'd rather do that than pick up other people's messes at this point in my life. Then you got special weapons as the category that I would add into this, because there's stuff that I can't talk about on here because it would be even spicier than the rest of this video, really. But let's just say that you can make some shit in the garage, and it's special weapons. Think Bangalore torpedoes. Think flamethrowers. Think you know other stuff. There's all sorts of convenient things that you could bring along that are handy. Uh, and this is where I would go with it. Flamethrowers suck, right? Well, if you don't have any other weapons, it is a tool. Just because it's kind of a shitty tool doesn't mean you wouldn't bring it. And if you can get a good compact one and fill it with napalm, that's a thing worth carrying around. And napalm is not that hard to make. It's styrofoam and gasoline. You're welcome. It makes flamethrowers a lot more effective, and that's something worth having. Uh, Primitive rocket weapons are something that you could make as well. There's lots and lots of options here, right? And think poor man's James Bond meets the Dirty Dozen meets Saving Private Ryan pulling shit out of the fucking army manual that has to do with socks and axle grease or some shit. I love that part of that movie. I highly doubt that is. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it is. I used to have one that it was like a 43 army manual. Anyway, the other thing that I would really prepare for and plan for are night ambushes and just ambushes in general, really, but in particular, night ambushes. And the reason that I say this is because if you are the ambusher, you don't really need night vision. You just don't. Okay, you're listening and you're watching with your fucking natural night vision, and you're sitting there on a belt-fed machine gun or a set of fucking toggles for fucking mines or whatever it is that you have, and you're just sitting and waiting. And this makes it very hard for you to be picked up by a thermal anything. It makes it very hard for you to be fought in any way other than for someone to come and find you. That's why, like, this is how I would set up my shit to like defend my own property or whatever. It would be some like Vietnam looking ambush shit in the fucking woods at night, probably. Then during the day, I probably wouldn't move that much. Depends. Like, it depends on like how much of a war are we fighting? Is this the Chinese that are hunting us? Because like this is a distinct possibility in my mind that we could be fighting the Chinese. And if that's the case, like they could be patrolling with fucking drones with thermal, waiting to fucking find you. And then like during the day, like you could move more or whatever, but they'll still find you with fucking thermal. Like, I don't know. There's a lot of shit that comes with that just it's not very fun to think about. And like this is the reality I think of most of this. For most people is you by yourself are probably not going to survive. And this is why knowing how to use more people to your advantage, how to set up squads, how to arm your squads, and how to command a unit in the field, all of these are going to be important things. And like as far as commanding a unit in the field goes, like that's you're going to just have to figure that one out. Like I don't think there's anyone that's going to be able to teach you that. Like that's the thing is most people who get thrust into that job, it's kind of a sink or swim job. And the people that tend to sink, well, they tend to die rather quickly. People, it's sort of like the sniper thing. Like, if you're a really bad commander, you're probably going to end up dead. Your life exists by your men allowing you to exist, basically. They protect you. If you're a shitty commander, they're probably just not going to protect you so well. Then they'll get a new commander. Like, that's how that works. It it takes care of the people that fail upward. Anyway, I don't like fucking people being in charge of me. It's, you know, my own like personality flaw or whatever. I don't really like being in charge of other people. Like I'm kind of a loner. I like being the fucking bait at the front of the fucking element, which really, me and my little camoed fucking minivan, I bet I could get away with quite a bit in the end of the world because people will be like, especially if I put some colors in it and make it look like a hippie van. That's my next move on that thing. Is I'm gonna like put like some yellow and red and orange and shit in it, make it look all rainbow, and then put some like yellow peace symbols on it and shit. It's gonna be all camoed. That'll get so much attention from the fucking police for drugs and shit. I bet though. It's one of those. I don't know if that's really worth it. Well, where were we on the weapons thing? Well, the only other thing I would discuss really is pistol caliber, like submachine gun shit. And obviously, I have one of those, but it's for like a civilian PDW. In this kind of a context, you really need rifles. In reality, I would want everyone to have 308s, but probably can't do that. And like the reality of it is, like, apparently, people can't carry all that ammo. I don't know what's up with that. I wouldn't want to carry that ammo either. I don't know. Like the reality of the situation is, you guys are going to be carrying 5.56. You're going to be carrying 5.56. If you're lucky, you might have DMRs with scoped 5.56s and a bolt action 308 or something. Like that's how I would run it, to be honest. Like I'd have my squad set up with a 3 or 4 man sniper element, where it was one dude with a bolt gun and everybody else had fucking DMRs. And then, really, because we don't have machine guns at all, I would make 4 men out of every 12-man squad. That I would make another 4 men of the 12-man squad, some sort of AR-15 light machine gun team, where probably 3 of the dudes have guns and mags, and one of the dudes has an M4 and is just carrying a shitload of mags, and then the other team of it would be a 4 man element of regular riflemen. So in reality, you got at least a couple of guys in the DMR element that have AR-15s that have 1 to whatever scopes, and then you have a dude with the light machine gunners that is basically another rifleman. I like that kind of a setup, especially like where if you are running without machine guns because you're a civilian, you're going to be behind the 8 ball on firepower. So I think having less riflemen and more DMRs and light machine gunners, or whatever you want to call a 20-inch barrel set up with a fucking D60, like I think that's about as good as you're gonna get. Like, um, as far as a barrel on that, I think I would get the H bar. I know that's an odd choice, but I would get an H bar barrel and put a bipod on it and free float it, of course. But I'd put the fucking heaviest barrel I could on it because why not? There's 2 choices really. It's either go with like a government profile and have a big ass fucking like camelback of water to spray that bitch down with, or it's have a heavy barrel and probably still have the fucking camelback of water. The other thing I would say on those guns is fixed stocks probably better. Um, you might even look at some sort of stock specifically made for you know a light machine gun type role. I think you can put the fucking M249 stock on an M4, maybe. I know the Troy Industries stock is made with a club foot, so you could do that. I think that's probably how I would go. That's what I had on the HK G3 PTR, one of these I made. And the G3 really makes a good choice for this. The drum mags from whatever that fucking company is. Remember, it's been too long. It doesn't really matter. They make a copy of the Navy drum for the HK that's cheap, that is awesome. And then you can get the HK aluminum 20 round mags still for like $5 or $6 a piece. So at that rate, I had 1 or 2 50 rounders and then a shitload of those 20s. And you think a 20 round mag and a HK isn't a very good light machine gun, but like that's Browning automatic rifle. Like Oh, and the other thing is, I set it up with a Aimpoint Comp M2 on it. That's kind of the type of thing I think I'd run on these. There's an argument to be made for an ACOG because it has the stadia for ranging and it has magnification. And like a lot of people don't get that, like something in a light machine gun roll, it's a ranged weapon. That's why the 20-inch barrel. That's why the ACOG. You know, the option for having the red dot on there, like I might have two dudes with the ACOGs on there and then one with a red dot, something like that, and mix it up. He's kind of doing, close defense kind of work. But like, if you're doing something where it's going to be in a structure or something, that's not what those dudes do. Okay, that's exactly like the sniper element. That's not what those dudes do. Your assaulter element with the M4s, they're for fucking door kicking. Okay, the if you're really going through structures and all you have is your one squad, then your rear security dude from your machine gun element joins those dudes, and probably your guys with SPRs go with them as a second fucking element, while your bolt action dude and light machine gun element form a fucking base of fire someplace and just hang out. And as far as the platoon goes, I would replicate. Um, at a certain point, you're going to need special weapons and heavy weapons, right? Random shit you made, like what I was talking about earlier. That kind of stuff, I would work in at like a platoon level, probably. Unless you guys don't have a platoon. If all you have is 12 dudes, then you're going to have to figure out some dude to carry that shit, like the Dirty Dozen. And that's what I would really probably focus more on is like, you're probably not going to have, you know, a platoon or a company. You might have a couple of fire teams. You might have a squad. You might even have a couple of squads. It's at that point that like maybe you should set up one squad as riflemen and one squad as special weapons or something like that. Your table of organization will be heavily dependent upon the number of people that you have and the training and skills that they have. If you have 4 people and they don't know their dick from a hole in the ground, it's going to be very hard to do anything. Okay. If you have 20 people and 10 of them are ex military and 10 of them are just people that love America and freedom but haven't ever done anything, that's your odds are improving. Like my thought in general for myself is I would like to train people in how to do this sort of stuff, whatever. Like there's gonna be a point there's gotta be a point at some point where like we're raising an army and training them or something. I see like the training montage, like just training people to shoot. I'm actually a very good shot, believe it or not. I have distinguished expert ratings in fucking small bore and high power. Who knew? But if you do have special weapons to employ, it would be rather easy to work them into this table of organization by picking one of your riflemen and being like, you are the potato gun dude, or whatever it is that you've made in a garage, because like you're Sauron and you're arming your orcs. That's what I'm envisioning for myself. It's like everybody else has this envision, like I'm going to be George Washington or whatever. I'm going to run for office and whatever. And I'm like over here bending the will of Middle Earth, you know, and creating weapons to arm orcs and shit. I have a ring of power over there someplace. My intention is basically to destroy the U.S. government with magic. I think that's the most fun. Also, it leaves me rather free to talk shit on the internet. Because I'm just a silly trans girl that's destroying the US government by being Sauron. That's really my plan. I think it's rather good. Like, I hope people keep putting into my Patreon. It's at least entertaining to watch, and I get to give you information. Um, the flamethrower dude. If you can get a hold of one of those cheap small flamethrowers, I would make one of your assaulter element dudes a Zippo man. Like, have him carry all his other equipment still, but now you have to pump this thing too. And the reason is they're going to be going through structures. And we don't use flamethrowers anymore in structures because that's inhumane. Fuck that shit. Zippo man. My answer to a structure with people inside it is to burn them out. Like, that's the reality of fucking 21st century warfare. There are no fucking rules. That's the thing I think a lot of people are not going to be getting is if the Democrats do come after us, it's war. And it's not fucking war with the Geneva Convention. It's fucking riding out for scalps and victory. I'm, you know, if you come and try to come for me on my own fucking land with the forces of the federal government, I'm going to ride at you so fucking hard, I'm going to make you fucking shoot me. That's, I think anybody'd be like that. I'm not breaking the law. If anything, I would say they are the ones breaking the law. And I've about had enough of it. And that's kind of what this whole video is about. And as such, arming some of your orcs with devices depicted such as those at the Battle of Helm's Deep. You know the ones I'm talking about, the ones that brought the wall down. Probably a good idea. The other thing is, some of your men should be like Legolas, right? They like never miss. Those are the ones that you should give the better rifles to. I don't know if I need to explain that to you, but like if Timmy has trouble hitting the broadside of a barn, maybe Timmy is like the second man in the stack because the point man needs to be on point. The second man needs to be cannon fodder, basically. That's where you put Timmy. I'm sorry, Timmy, but like there are other places for more valuable people to be. Some people are just really good bullet magnets too. Like I'm not gonna tell that story. Some things can't be said on YouTube, but it's really good. Jimmy 2 times. Oh, what else do we want to talk about? CQB element, special weapons. Vehicular mounted heavy weapons. This is a good topic. More than likely, in the 21st century, whatever warfare we'll be conducting against the Chinese, the Russians, the Democrats, or whoever else wants to invade Texas, I think some sort of limited technical made of something that you could get a hold of. And really, the entertaining option, if you really want to go for it, is one of these shotguns that takes drum magazines, like an AK looking thing, with deer slugs mounted on top of a fucking car. Like that would tear the ass out of other fucking cars. And that's kind of like what you need to be thinking is like that gun isn't for shooting at people. That gun is for shooting at cars. And you need to kind of think of some car armament shit too. And like that kind of is a whole different thing from this video because this is kind of like an infantry squad. But I think because it's weapons, we should at least mention, a replacement for the 50 cal and the what the fuck is that thing called? The 40 millimeter belt fed grenade launching thing. Wow, I can't believe I can't remember the name of that one. It's gonna kill me. Yeah, this is why we have Google. I am freely admitting it. I'm Googling this. Belt fed 40 millimeter grenade launcher. Mark 19. That's Jesus. That one. That one hurt. That one hurt my brain. Weed. Don't smoke weed, kids. It's bad for you. It makes you forget what Mark 19s are. So there is really no replacement for the Mark 19 because that's just a beautiful masterpiece of death. But I don't know. The 50 cal, I think the deer slug thing is actually a legit option. The other option would be the biggest semi-automatic rifle you could get that had high cap mags. I don't know what that would be. It's probably 308. And like really, you might even go. I don't know. That's hard. I was gonna say you might go 6.5 Creedmoor, but in reality, that would be a flatter shooting round. It has less payload, and I don't know. The deer slug shotgun thing, I think, is a really good idea. At least with a semi-automatic one with like a 50 round drum mag, like some of those fucking AK-12 things are. That is this is very vehicle destructive. 308 is also very vehicle destructive though. And that is a much more economical option than anything bigger than that. That's semi-automatic. That's really where I think you could 100% mount one of those G3 light automatic rifle concept guns on top of there like that, but that's also kind of a cheat, right? There is the semi-auto 50 cal. There are some of those. At least I'm talking like the M2 Browning machine gun semis. Those do exist, but good luck. Assuming you don't have anything cool like that. A Barrett. A Barrett would be awesome. Anything in 50 would be awesome, even if it was only a 10 round Barrett. And like the reason is one round of 50 does more than a lot of rounds of 308 in some instances. Not every instance, but in some instances it's true. And like this is also where like for your sniper marksman element, something high powered like a 338 Lapua or a 50 cal or a 416. Is it 416 Barrett? Whatever the four fucking Barrett is, I don't fucking remember. Fucking weirdo fucking cartridges. Some sort of big ass high powered fucking rifle shooting high powered fucking rifle rounds. Not for range reasons, but for materiel reasons. And that is because that's a gun that you can own. Again, back to, you know, capabilities that we can actually buy. This is why sniper rifles are so cool, as I mentioned earlier. Like, this is kind of a different class of sniper rifle. And it's in vehicle mounted weapons for me because that's kind of how I think of these. They're 30-pound guns. Like, what are you going to do to hump a Barrett around? Like, in order to bring enough ammunition to be worth a damn, you're going to have to dedicate 2 guys to that gun. And that's doable. And honestly, as an anti-materiel rifle, it's a lot better than a Lottie. So it like depends on what you're doing. Like some things, like a Barrett, is legitimately a very valuable tool. It's It's something worth having. And that's why, to some extent, I was even interested in that. That single shot 50 that Royal Nunsuch made with Serbu till it blew up on what's his face, Kentucky Ballistics. I was wanting one of those when they first came out because they were like 7.99 or something like that. And I was like, holy fuck, that would like back to one round of 50 cal can be useful. What I wanted it for was getting the 20-inch barrel version, putting an EOTech on it, and running it like a fucking chopper door gunner kind of thing out of a car. Like, you could legit do that out of like my van. You open up the side door on that and have a bungee sling kind of thing to work out of like a helicopter and have a single shot 50. That would be so fucking cool. I don't know if that really has that many applications, but it's cool. And in any case, once you have a vehicle, that becomes a no-brainer as a gun that you should buy. I probably should have mentioned it earlier. Um, and definitely in the armament for that, like I think I'd have all three of those. I'd have a semi-automatic 308 with drum mags. I would have a semi-automatic Barrett with as big a magazines as they sell for that thing, and then I would have a drum magazine shotgun too with fucking slugs because that's a lot of hate. It really is. Like, a lot of people don't realize how fucking badass a 1 ounce slug is. It'll go through most things, but like hardened steel, it has trouble with because it's a lead thing. But like you could even load up some badass projectiles. Like, go watch Tauflader Mouse. Go watch what steel balls and shit do out of a 12 gauge. Imagine that kind of shit. Go mad scientist on some of this shit too. Like the flamethrower would be a good car weapon. Also, go watch the documentary that is Rambo 2. I'm not going to tell you what part it applies to you, but you know Legolas? Pay attention. Like, you can figure that shit out. Rambo 2. Go watch the movie. I'm not going to say anything more about it than that. Everybody knows what I'm talking about. The Legolas dude, like, that's a legit thing. And especially in the car, I would do a crossbow. And I would make Legolas Rambo 2 Legolas because Rambo 2 Legolas is very, very spicy. Um, what else? Like, we're kind of into arming a Mad Max car at this point, but this is stuff that the squad would have. Like, you're going to be vehicular probably. Mm, some sort of like turret mounted passenger seat gun would be really nice. Like, that would probably, it would make sense to make that the same caliber as whatever your other gun is, but it could be 5.56 too. Just having a dedicated forward facing gun on whatever it is you're driving, handy. Everything else, um, there's a magical tool. It's called a sawzall, and you just can cut a hole in any roof of any car, and then you have a turret. Sort of. At least once you have a welder and some shit to weld to it to reinforce it, you definitely can have a thing. Like, this is the thing I think a lot of people don't get is that me and three guys that can use a stick welder can build a fucking tank inside an hour, maybe less, like out of anything. A little bit more to it than that, but like, it's pretty true. Like, if you don't need it to be completely armored, you're just going for, hey, I need a gun truck thing to run in the desert. Shit, we can do that easy inside an hour. Especially if it doesn't need windows, which it doesn't need windows. you know, Pistols. Final note: pistols are pretty much useless, but at the same time, America has always kicked ass over other countries because of our better use of the pistol, in my opinion. Like it's one of those things that our military really prizes and uses more than other militaries on like a man-to-man level, and always kind of has. And I don't mean like here recently. I'm talking about even like back in the Civil War and World War I and World War II and shit. Like German Lugers were rare and prized because like officers had them. Okay, 1911s officers had them, but like Sergeant York had one. Lots of other people had them too. Like you could get issued a 1911 in the U.S. Army if you just needed one. And I don't mean because you thought you needed one, but because the U.S. Army thought that your job needed one. You get a 1911. A lot of like mortarmen and machine gunners and fucking Zippo men and fucking everything else. A lot of like my thoughts or knowledge about shit hit the fan squad and weapons and tactics and anything else comes from my love of World War II and Vietnam history and my own just adventurous self, basically. Uh, I've always found it interesting, and I'm hoping that I can communicate some of this information in a way to some of you people that it does some good. And maybe you can build your own squads and have your own whatevers and protect your own compounds. And we're going to be doing more of these kinds of videos. This is kind of like an intro to this. If you've liked this, I'm planning on doing more of these, and I'm going to be focusing in future episodes. Hopefully, I'm on a whiteboard, and we'll do like some small unit tactics kind of thing, and like some basic terminology. And like, I'm going to make a series of videos that is for Jed Eckert. Hope you're watching, Jed. Uh, this has kind of been my thoughts on arming a squad in 2022 out of what we can buy here in America. I think I covered all the bases pretty well. There's some things I really just couldn't talk about. I think you can use your imagination to fill in what those are, and like go watch Rambo 2, and it'll explain quite a bit of it. The Rambo 2 stuff is all of the stuff I couldn't explain. When he's doing his Legolas thing, so cool when he's Legolas. That's my new code word for that now. It's like whenever we're gonna talk about shit that blows up, we're just gonna call it Legolas. No one will get that because no one's gonna watch all the way into this, so it'll just be some random fucking thing. Oh, any final thoughts? Oh, bayonets. Lots of people don't understand what a bayonet is for. Your guns should definitely have bayonets, and the reason is you could run out of ammunition, and then people will just come in and try to capture you. And it's nice to have bayonets to stab them with, and or you can charge with them, and or go watch the movie Platoon. When they're going through the village, you'll notice they have bayonets on their rifles and they're poking through things. They're doing that because you don't want to use your hands to poke through things. Okay? Like this is the some of the shit that studying Vietnam history will like get you is like you're paranoid about searching baskets of fucking rice. Like I'm not saying you should be that way, but at the same time, you should definitely have the tool to use for poking through things and or defending yourself if someone comes out of nowhere, because that's why they really had the bayonet on in the first place. Is when you're inside and around structures and shit, a dude can come out of nowhere and stab you so fast that it's not even funny. And the bayonet is an instinctive weapon that's already there that you can just use to stab back. Doesn't require taking a safety off. It doesn't require, whatever. Like the rifleman's real weakness, especially in and around structures or anything that encloses your sphere of like visual and, other shit. Like even the woods to some extent makes a rifleman vulnerable. But anything where it's enclosed, you become a much more vulnerable thing because you are relying on range and shit for your safety as a rifleman. And this is what the bayonet provides you. It provides you legitimately one of the best hand-to-hand weapons on earth, available at a moment's notice. And I don't say that lightly. Like it gives you a short spear. A short spear is one of the best hand-to-hand combat weapons on earth. A long spear is better, but a short spear is not a bad thing at all. An M16 in particular, like a full 20-inch barrel with the bayonet on it, I dig as a fucking hand-to-hand combat weapon. If I had to have one thing, I think that might be it. And as such, like it's not that hard to buy guns with bayonet lugs on them and buy bayonets for them. I would hope if I were in someone's army that they would care enough about me to provide me a bayonet. And this is half of the thing that I think is really ridiculous about the "What Would Stoner Do" project. Maybe I really should put a bayonet on Moon Tiger. That's what I'm naming my go-to rifle. My backup rifle is Loki, and it already has a bayonet lug. So we'll see. I value the bayonet quite a bit. It's one of those things that like go watch the start of Conan. It's like many things in life you can't trust, but this Conan, this you can trust. That's how I feel. Like with the bayonet, I like having a thing that is ultimately a backup weapon on my hip that attaches to my primary weapon. I like the idea of that. And especially because like it's handy and it's cool. Who doesn't think it's cool to have a fucking bayonet? Like this is I can't do the 20-inch fucking barrel on Moon Tiger. I'm gonna have to do the bayonet lug. It's too cool. If you've watched this far into this, tell me what you think. Bayonet, no bayonet. Hmm? You want a bayonet? Whatever that means. Oh, I bet some of you can figure it out. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe. Hit me up on Patreon and tell me what you think about bayonets in the comments.